Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
And to all the liberal left out there this Monday morning, these words from John Wayne, late great cowboy actor. Life's tough. It's even tougher when you're stupid. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Oh, I love that song. And here we go back for another week. And it is the week of April 17th. My goodness sakes, all the way through the 20th we'll be on the air. Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and good morning. And thanks to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, a big spring tire sale going on right now. Along with some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call and get on the route service 734-6969. And now let's go right to our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Well, go ahead, my friend.
Yes, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attaboy, Wheels. And right now it's time for our weather forecast brought to you by Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. And they're offering qualified rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps. Whoa, my, you and your family are going to enjoy the comfort. Call and learn more at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. Here's the weather.
Welcome to spring here in southern Idaho, and it is definitely going to feel like it all this week. We are expecting rain showers, especially this morning, going to be dissipating as we get through the afternoon hours. Plus, it is going to be windy out of the west, right around 16 miles an hour. Expect a high of 58, tonight low of 44. Tomorrow, rain showers, 50% chance off and on throughout the day, high of 54, overnight low of 38. Windy and sunny for Wednesday, high of 62, overnight low of 41. More rain showers expected for Thursday, especially in the morning, high of 54, and then mostly sunny and 58 for Friday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Hey, by the way, in 8:30, we're going to give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. Oh, my goodness sakes, delicious cookies. You be listening. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Hello, Kevin, Cindy, everybody. My gooding, the best of cleaning your clothes and restoration of older fabric items. Oh, my goodness, they're good. And gift cards, great gifts to give somebody on their birthday, their anniversary, whatever. You're going to love these people. They are so good. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. I urge you to stop in and see my friends today at Daryl's Cleaners. We've got a happy birthday girl in the audience this morning, and I want to give her a little extra special shout-out this morning. And her and her husband have been so helpful to Deanne and I with their kindness in helping us at Lunch Bunch every month. And that's, of course, Jimmy and Frida Flowers. Well, it is Frida's birthday today, and I want to wish Frida a very, very happy happy birthday, and Jimmy is going to spare no expense. He's going to just open his billfold and say, Frida, take all the money, take the credit cards, and buy whatever you want. Isn't that nice of him? Happy birthday to Frida Flowers. Congratulations. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Got to talk about food right off the bat this morning. Holy macadamia nuts. I'll tell you what. I love those burgers over at Denny's restaurant. Now, they are America's Diner, and they've got the classics. I mean, my goodness. Listen to these. The bacon Gouda burger. Ooh, it's Gouda. And the honey jalapeno bacon sriracha burger. I love that one. And then the bacon avocado cheeseburger. I mean, just drool. They are so good at America's Diner, Denny's restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, and also 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. And we're going to be over there on Thursday for lunch punch. Come on by and enjoy great food, really fantastic service at America's Diner, Denny's restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Really, really nice people. I do not know about you, but I had, and Deanne would agree with me, the best Easter weekend that we have had in at least 10, 15 years. The family all got together on Saturday, and we had a wonderful, wonderful dinner over at Toby's. And then we went back from Toby's to my place, and we roped all afternoon and had a ball with the grandkids. And then after that, just sat around by the old fireplace and traded and swapped yarns and stories. That was a fantastic day on Saturday. And yesterday, it wasn't that bad. I mean, a little wind and some high clouds, but a wonderful Easter weekend. And I hope yours was as good as mine was. It was a lot of fun. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Hello, Rita and everybody over at Ramsey's, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. And they throw open the doors at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday. All your heating, all your cooling, all your electrical needs. I mean, come on, they are there for you and have been for over a half a century. My goodness, they're busy. And you stop in and see them today. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Really, really nice people. Chuck Woolery. I don't know if anybody caught this morning, but Chuck Woolery, you know, the former game show host and everything, and very outspoken conservative. I know a lot of people think, well, wait a minute, he's just one of those Hollywood lefties. No. He is very conservative, and he was being interviewed this morning at about 7:30 on Fox News. And I got to tell you, he just told it exactly how it is with Islam, the Muslim problem in America, and the growing problem all over the world, Hollywood and the not-too-bright Hollywood people and actors and directors and producers. Whoa! Hats off this morning to Chuck Woolery having the nerve, the backbone, or whatever you want to call it, for coming out and saying it like it is. He's not going to kowtow to anybody. He said Hollywood has bent over backwards to be extreme left and just kind of welcome and be inclusive to the point of their own demise. Yes, I give him a kudo this morning. Chuck Woolery, lead on. That was very well stated. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. Come on, give me a call this morning. I need some help because I'm tired this morning. I'm having a hard time keeping my eyes open. And the rain and everything's out there. Barry Equipment and Rental at, of course, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. You've heard me say this so many times, but it's true. They have all the equipment to get the job done right. Absolutely. All the equipment rentals like the Bobcat excavators and Big Doosan loaders, and of course the retail equipment sales, and they've got those Walker lawnmowers, and I mean with all this rain, the grass is growing, and you can mow like a pro, and 0% interest on 48 months. Woo! Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts, Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Really, really nice people. Did you hear this story? That the baseball writer for NBC Sports, I want to give direct non-credit to those that did this, but the head baseball writer for NBC Sports wrote a op-ed, if you will, and basically it was to get rid of U.S. flags and our national anthem at sporting events. Now, when you start talking about getting rid of our flag and stopping the national anthem, some of the networks, some of the sleaze networks, NBC being one of them already, have covered over the national anthem with either commercial breaks or gone to a studio set with the the in-house announcers. And I think that is absolutely deplorable, that they're hiding and sheltering away from the public our national anthem and the presentation of our flag. I think it's total garbage to the vets, the veterans of our United States of America. And when I heard that this writer, NBC writer for baseball, their chief writer, came out with this op-ed, I thought, what would a person like Pat Tillman? Pat Tillman was an excellent football player. Pat Tillman was outstanding. Pat Tillman was a great community person to where he devoted so much time and effort to helping others. Played for the Arizona Cardinals. And then all of a sudden he said, you know what? I want to serve my country. I want to go overseas and serve my great United States of America that has afforded and given me so much. He put his life on the line, and he lost it. He lost his life. He was so proud of that red, white, and blue flag. And I can vividly remember occurrences and situations to where Pat Tillman would run around the stadium waving that United States flag after a football game. He was a very proud American. And I think of him when I think of these absolutely goofy, insane people that want to hide our flag, literally bury our flag, hide or cover up or muffle our Pledge of Allegiance or our national anthem. Folks, if you don't stand up with me and be mouthpieces against these destroyers of America, who will? Who will? Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Oh, my goodness. Hello, Nick. Hello, everybody over there. They do a wonderful, wonderful job helping you get back to being you. Oh, you're probably outside working on Easter weekend, getting everything all cleaned up. The family came over for Easter dinner, and you might have pulled those muscles a little bit. Call her. I'll be right there. Don't go away. And you might be a little stiff and sore. Well, by golly, call them at 678-1191. They can and they will help you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with all the physical therapists, all the exercises, the only hydrotherapy pool in the area. Oh, they're good. And they'll make you feel better. Call them today, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zed.
Hello, Tony.
You know, we've got millions of veterans in the Veterans of Foreign Wars and the American Legion And it's a wonder they haven't gotten together to demonstrate out there in the streets against what's happening. Instead, what we've got, people wonder where all these people in the streets are coming from. Well, a lot of them are on welfare. They got nothing else to do but get out and downgrade our flags and talk against our military and everything else in this country.
Well, and Tony, some of the garbage that I get, and it is garbage, on my program, emails, etc. Well, they have the right to voice their opinion. How dare you call them stupid and un-American? Yes, they do have a right to voice their opinion. Yes, they do have a right to act stupid. And I also have a right to denounce them and call them what they are. They are absolute leeches on the system that are getting the benefits of living in the greatest country in the world, and yet they condemn it.
We've got parents out there. I don't think putting the power they have to use when their children in school and being programmed against American flags and everything else. And this is another problem. If I had a young kid in the school today, I'd be tempted to be out there demonstrating, make sure our kids protect our flag and respect it.
I agree with you. No, I'm totally in agreement with you, Tony, that if we, you and I and others, don't stand up for the American ideals and goals and backbone that this country has provided for people for over 200 years, who is? Who is going to stand up? It looks like we've got a bunch of weak-kneed, obnoxious little punks that want to be globalists with open borders, and they want to just destroy America. And I, for one, I'm not going to go down without a fight.
Well, these young generation doesn't realize what it's going to be like. I've been over in communist countries, and they don't realize what it is to lose your freedoms, and once you do, you're not going to get it back.
Amen. Tony, say hello to Mary for me this morning. God bless you, man. I got another call waiting. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. I love those folks. They are really, really nice. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. Don't go away. Want to remind you that Ag Express is looking for drivers, and Ag Express is looking for you. That's right. Full and part-time positions. Retired folks are welcome, and they'll work around your schedule, 2 or 3 days a week, whatever works best for you. And you're home every night. New and maintained equipment, vacations, benefits. Wow! Call Dale and Paul at 438-8886. Alan in Twin Falls, 731-2495. Russ in Burley, 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I think we ought to outlaw commercials. They are annoying. They disrupt the games. They put them in at the wrong places, and we miss part of the stuff we need to be seeing to enjoy the game. I love to hear, the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem, and anything like that is just beautiful sounds to me. But I've never heard a good commercial in my life.
Well, wait a minute, Jerry, you're not being fair. And I'm going to be very... No, wait a minute, Jerry, please. You didn't think this all the way through. Because if it weren't for the commercials, first and foremost, you wouldn't have an opportunity to see the game anyway.
I'll go along with that, you're right. But I'm still making my point. I still enjoy the Pledge and the National Anthem far more than any commercial they're ever going to put on there.
Well, I agree with you, but I mean, to sit there and say that, well, a lot of banned commercials, you can't do that, or you wouldn't have anything on your television. You wouldn't even have a newscast on your television.
We wouldn't be able to listen to you.
Well, amen. There you go. So quit condemning commercials, my dear friend.
Well, you know me. I'm an ornery cuss. I'm going to do it anyhow.
Okay. All right, Jerry. Appreciate your call.
We need to be remembering our senior centers. I know you got the other guy, Doug, that's going to come on there in a few minutes and talk about it. But Modern Woodman's got a matching fund coming up later in the month. And part of our deal is we're doing a dinner, a raffle, and then we're doing donations I can only match up to $2,500.
Right.
But you know what I would like to see? About 20,000 money donated that we're trying to match that $2,500 on.
All right, well,
that would really help them out, and they need it.
I agree with you on that. You and I are on the same page there, my dear friend, but don't condemn all commercials, because without those, all you would be getting right now on your radio is just nothing but static.
I know that, and I knew it when I called you.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get your dander up.
All right, Jerry.
Because I've done it once before.
Have a good day. We'll see you Thursday because it's a special day for you. We'll see you later.
It is a special day for me, and it is a special day for several other people around.
That's right, buddy. Thank you so much. All right, Jerry. God bless you, man.
Have a wonderful day. And, trying to get money, I can't think of his name. It went off the top of my head. The crazy guy. The one that likes to pick on me and give me a hard time.
Which one?
Always hurting my feelings. It's like trying to get money out of the Fort Knox bank.
Okay.
You just can't do it unless you got the key.
All right, my friend. God bless you, Jerry. Thanks. I'll see you then.
Great day, bye.
All right, take care. Good patriot right there. But honestly, we're quick to condemn. Oh, that rotten commercial. Or that doggone commercial break. Hey, whoa. Wait a minute. If it were not for the commercials, you wouldn't have any sense of media entertainment whatsoever. Nothing. Nada. It's not the commercials. It's the absolute anti-feeling against our flag and our national anthem. Now, NBC absolutely does not have to cover the national anthem by going to in-house studio announcers or doing a commercial break. No, they don't have to. And anybody that says they do is absolutely lying. But you take like what happened with NASCAR and Fox Sports. You know what? When that minister got up, and I will never forget this. It's happened now for the last many years. When that minister got up at Daytona for the start of the Daytona 500, and he absolutely said the prayer in its entirety the way the prayer should be. And then he turned around and he says, now our national anthem. And they highlighted every bit of it. And the jets going over the top of the Daytona 500 Speedway. I'll tell you what, that made the hair on the back of my neck bristle up. And I was proud to be an American. And I'm not proud to say that NBC has to cover things up. Your thoughts, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The lovely Dr. Christine Pickup at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. We talked to her last Thursday on the air, as a matter of fact, when she was at the Southern Idaho Women's Expo over there at the Burley Best Western. And she said many, many things in a short period of time about how you need to review your medications to see if maybe they're not causing a hearing problem, or maybe you've got some kind of a disease or illness that's causing a diminishment of your hearing. All of these things and more could be the reason you're not hearing the way you should. Please give them a call at 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. They are located right across from the Minidoka Hospital emergency room in Rupert, and they're waiting for your call. Don't let bad hearing or diminished hearing affect you. Call her today, Dr. Christine Pickup at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. I think I'm going to give away a dozen cookies. Oh, and they're good cookies, too, to Sophie's Chatterbox. I hesitated because I about knocked all the papers on the floor. Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness sakes. If you want to just indulge and have a great meal, go to Sophie's Restaurant, Sophie's Chatterbox. And then if you want to take some of that goodness home with you, they've got a bakery over there. Oh, their cookies. And, I mean, they've got maple scones over there. I have a weakness for maple scones. Anyway, let's give away a dozen cookies. First-time winners only. Don't cheat, okay? Here is an easy question for this morning. What is the name of Dennis the Menace's dog? This is so easy. What is the name of Dennis the Menace's dog? Call me at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Quickly, come on, get on the phone. That's the easiest one I think I've given all forever. So give me a jingle this morning and tell me the name of Dennis the Menace's dog. It's in the cartoon series every day in the papers. Let's see who this caller is. Good morning.
Yeah, turn the radio down. Here you go. Rough.
All right. Have you ever won before?
Not since the cinnamon rolls.
Oh, okay. Well, so you never won the cookies?
No.
All right. What's your name?
It's Alias.
No, it's not. What's your name?
Mike.
Mike, what's your last name?
Jones. As an alias.
All right. Well, there you go. You are the winner, and call them and let them know when you're going to be over to pick up your cookies, all right?
All right. Okay.
All right, buddy. Thanks an awful lot. Appreciate it. And there you have it. The winner, Mike over there with Ruff. Ruff is the dog's name. A real hard name to come up with, you know. Anyway, there you go with our dozen cookies this morning. Calls welcome 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. On a related note, I want to talk to you a little bit about what happened at UC Davis, University of California at Davis this last weekend. This is almost bordering on total insanity that we're allowing to have happen in this country. Stand by. Minnecash Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley with Zach and the crew. A Zach Attack. And don't forget, they sponsor Dr. History on Tuesdays. He'll be in the studio tomorrow, looking forward to it. And they've got all the overhead doors, and they've got their interior doors for you. We bought one, beautiful doors. And they can even send over the contractors to do the installation work for you. And the beautiful luxury vinyl planking, check it out at Minnecash Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport, 878-2091. Have a Zach Attack. You stop in and see him today. You know, they took a little bit of a question and survey, they being some of the media, about the protesters at the UC Davis in California. Now, most of these... trying to think of a good word that won't get me kicked off the radio. Most of these antis, I'll keep it nice this morning, are absolutely for globalism, open borders, and let all the refugees in from all of the world's countries. Now think about that. Globalists, they don't want any borders. They want everybody like a Coca-Cola commercial. We want the world to sing and hold hands and all this kind of garbage. They don't want any borders. They don't want any borders. They don't want any restrictions. Just come on in, sit down. We're going to make some chocolate s'mores and build a little fire. Well, of course, the environmentalists can't build fires. We'll sit in a cave. Anyway, and let everybody in that wants to come in. But nobody seems to have the common sense that God gave a billy goat to understand that when you have a globalist society like this, open borders, let them all in. Who's going to pay the bills? Who's going to pay the bills? They're here 30 days. They decide to leave. Well, yeah, this, that, and the other. And maybe they got on a welfare program, or maybe they got on some kind of cash handout from our government, you and me. Oh, but they don't pay taxes. They don't contribute anything. Oh, they're just here to have a good time. Who's going to pay the bills? You know, we're seeing a real clash of stupidity in our country. When you have people that believe in the United States of America as a country, as it should be, people that believe in our Constitution, as it should be, and people that believe in laws and regulatory means to make sure that we are a civilized society. But these crackpots, kooks, and there's a lot of other words, they just want everything to be in chaos. Go here, have fun here, travel there, who cares, no borders, let's go, come on. This is ridiculous. And now they also do not want the United States flag flown on the campus of UC Davis. And they've protested and raised all kinds of... You know, honestly, where in the world is this headed? We are looking at anarchy in this country. And even yesterday and the day before, I overheard some conversations from some people saying, oh, well, they'll probably get tired of what they're doing and they'll just fade away. Well, they're not going to fade away. They're getting worse. The situation is getting worse. The hatred for America is getting worse. The hatred for what America stands for is getting worse. The hatred for people that want to have some kind of legislation and some kind of regulation and some kind of a civil society is getting worse. And we're allowing it to happen. They don't want a flag on the UC Davis campus. Well, if I were the president of UC Davis, I think I would go on closed-circuit TV in every classroom this morning and say, well, now here it is, boys and girls, you 18, 19, and 20-year-old know-nothings. We're going to fly the flag on our campus. We're going to fly the flag in every building in our campus. And if you don't like it, then please go to the registrar's office, and we will make sure that we try to help you in any way we can to get the heck out of Dodge City. You got to have rules, and you got to have some semblance of, yes, this is our protocol, this is what we do in our country, and if you don't like it, leave. Now, these punks are sitting there, and they're making demands. And they're acting so stupid, and you know what? They aren't smart enough to realize that our flag and the blood, sweat, and tears that was given for that flag and the freedoms in this country are actually allowing them to be dumb. You would think, pardon the cough, you would think that somebody in their ilk would say, well, you know what? Think about this for a minute. Why, we couldn't do this in Russia. We couldn't do this in China. We couldn't do, oh boy, you couldn't do this in North Korea. Wow. Maybe America's not so bad after all. Because that flag over there, that red, white, and blue, is affording these kooks and crackpots and know-nothings to act stupid. But they don't realize that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, don't leave me hanging. Your turn, give me a call. I want to say thank you very much. Oh, pardon me, just a minute. I've got a cough that will not go away. Spring fever, pardon me, a little sip of water. Honestly, it's just water. Delicious water. There you go. Scott Gano, Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. And I'll tell you what, his crew is absolutely outserving you with all the best in landscaping ideas. And, of course, they're getting all your trees pruned and trimmed. Better take care of those fruit trees right now. If, oh, boy, you're on the borderline. And also, they're repairing all your sprinkler systems and putting new ones in. You'd better get on the list. You call them today at 438-2485. That number again, 438-2485. Scott Gano, Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, waiting to do the job for you. You call them today. Also, our thanks go out to Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, Amy and the rest of the folks over there, 436-3200. And it's a 16-bed facility, and they are so caring about the people that are there living with them at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. And they take, excuse me, a lot of pride with a beautiful patio in the backyard so they can hold barbecues and different functions, and they make sure all the residents get a chance to go around the the community, like to the 4th of July activities in Wilson Theater, etc. They really care. So please call them and find out more. 436-3200. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. There you go. I apologize. That old cough of mine in the spring. All of us that have allergies in the springtime, hold up your hands. There, okay. One hand on the wheel if you're driving. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I challenge my audience this morning. And I know a lot of you say, oh, Zeb, you're on a soapbox this morning. Well, get on the soapbox with me. Get on the soapbox with me. And I challenge all of us to just basically denounce and ridicule and put down the negativity in our country. And maybe they'll get the idea, you know? Kind of like an old Boston Tea Party. And we don't need that kind of dissenting voice and actions in this country to where they're destroying things and they're burning and they're breaking windows and they're burning the flag and they're yelling for open borders and let them all in and globalism. I don't want any of that stuff. Do you? If not, stand out and speak out against it. Speak out against it. Don't be cowardly. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, by the way, today is the 4-year anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombing. And today, of course, the Boston Marathon will be run. And the absolutely despicable Tsarnaev brothers killed, maimed with bombs at the Boston Marathon. And my thoughts are and my prayers are that everything will be safe and sane at that Boston Marathon. How dare these vermin try to alter and change good things in people's lives at the risk of killing and maiming and bombing. And my thoughts and prayers go out this morning to the Boston Marathon, the organizers, all the security, everyone. And I certainly hope it is a very safe event. I want some calls. Come on, give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting patiently, well, rather impatiently for your call, I want to tell you about the weather forecast brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care at 382 North Overland in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. Open 7 days a week, and there's no membership required. Everybody is welcome, and I'll tell you what, they've been open and operating for over a year, and they want to help serve you and your family. The Urgent Cares in Magic Valley, Riverview Urgent Care Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Welcome to spring here in southern Idaho, and it is definitely going to feel like it all this week. We are expecting rain showers, especially this morning, going to be dissipating as we get through the afternoon hours. Plus, it is going to be windy out of the west, right around 16 miles an hour. Expect a high of 58, tonight low of 44. Tomorrow, rain showers, 50% chance off and on throughout the day, high of 54, overnight low of 38. Windy and sunny for Wednesday, high of 62, overnight low of 41. More rain showers expected for Thursday, especially in the morning, high of 54, and then mostly sunny and 58 for Friday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
And thank you, Gina. Excellent weather forecast. The weather brought to you by the Urgent Cares, Minor Emergency, Major Care. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Open 7 days a week, serving you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. I just can't believe after all of these months and things that are happening Why are we still letting people be so crazy and causing so much trouble when the only way this country can go is up? Why don't we join forces and make it greater than it already is by showing the rest of the world that we can act like Americans?
You know, let me ask you this, Chris, and this question is, we've kind of skated around this a little bit this morning, but I'm going to be very poignant and ask you to give a direct answer. I honestly feel like if we get a bunch of these kooks and crackpots that are out there burning the flag and yelling and screaming at people that support America and going in with weapons and knives and iron knuckles and everything, and they were hitting these people, I think it's time to clean out Dodge City and show force and go after them. I am not one of these kind of people that thinks we ought to just keep turning the other cheek all the time.
No, I think that you and I probably had parents that were a lot alike. And I was from a really big family. And my father was a military man, and he knew how to rally the troops. And when one of us did something stupid, and he thought that the rest of the family was complicit because us kids acted like we acted like a committee lots of times. Anyway, there was no questions asked. The boom got dropped, and after the attention from the boom, then we had a discussion about what happened and is it going to happen again.
Yeah. You know, you're not going to restore any pride in America. You're not going to restore any love of country. You're not going to restore any respect for the flag unless you show it and stand up for it.
Right. And when are we loading up the artillery to go to North Korea?
You know, I was really shocked over what happened Saturday. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but North Korea, with their fat, chubby little donut over there, Kim Jong-un, they were going to have a show of force and set off another missile, and it blew up on the launch pad. And there are rumors, my dear, that possibly our electronics bothered with their electronics, and it blew up on the launch pad, and it looked really bad.
Well, the only thing is that guy is such a pipsqueak and such a maniac that this just reinforces he's going to do it again and sooner, and he doesn't care. I wish there were some way that he could get a little attitude adjustment from some big old gorillas.
It would be really nice to have a Navy SEAL team capture him and put him in a little room for a couple of minutes and just tell him, that perhaps you're not dotting all the I's and crossing the T's, and they could show him how to do that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I thought so.
I just think that it's time. And China really, well, they were over talking to our president not that long ago. I think they're kind of hoping we'll do something about that pipsqueak.
I'm not.
Why does it have to be us? Why can't they do it?
And I'm not at all opposed to that, because I think this little Pillsbury Doughboy, a reject from Nutrisystems, has to be replaced, and not 6 months from now, but 6 minutes from now.
It really is time to get rid of him. Those people in North Korea deserve a little bit of a life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you and I are on the same page, my dear. Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
Bye.
thanks much. Honestly, and I'll be chastised for this probably in the Times News or by others, but it's the way I feel. It's time to take off the gloves and go bare knuckle. It's time to start restoring some pride in America and not let these nuts, these crazies, take over with a destroying of the flag and the yelling and screaming and the burning and the looting and tipping cars over and, they got it so rough. No, they don't have it rough. They live in the greatest country in the world, and we're giving them a free pass to be idiots. Let's take back the pass. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget that Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering qualified rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps. And you and your family are going to enjoy the comfort. Call them today, 678-0459, and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. Go ahead, caller, please.
You know, this is an example. North Korea, is an example of what can happen to a people who have lost their soul. We don't know exactly how, but if you look at South Korea, I mean, you know, whether or not it's Doosan loaders, and some of the Doosan loaders I've seen were as big as cat loaders I've seen, and then all the car companies and all of the little tractors and whatever else they're building. South Korea builds stuff that China doesn't even build. So South Korea, look at the industriousness of the South Korean people, and it shows you freedom. If you look at a satellite image at night of South Korea and North Korea, you can't believe it. South Korea, they don't even sleep, I don't think.
Well,
North Koreans, they don't even have power.
Well, yeah, but occasionally on a satellite feed, you'll see a couple of people on a mountaintop sending SOS signals with flashlights.
Well, it ain't good. And he spends all their money with all this pomp and circumstance in that, you know, whatever you want to call that area. And I say, how is it that a people can't get rid of this terrible person? Out in the hinterlands, they're starving to death.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about American starvation. We're talking about third world, rigid poverty starvation.
Yeah, and stop right there. Wait a minute. We're right there. There's an excellent point to interrupt you and have you make a point on what you just said. You know, and these globalists and these open borders nuts and let them all in freaks, all of these people are trying to do a transition in this country so that we got the same mess that they've got in North Korea.
Well, see, this is the reason why we know this doesn't work. Look at Japan, one of the most industrialized countries in the world, Germany. If it wasn't for Germany, the European Union would have been on its butt. And look at South Korea. Well, what did we do? After the war, we went in and we said, okay, we're going to show you how to run some capitalism here and make some bucks. And think about it. I mean, the evidence is so obvious. And then we're still letting these communists, environmentalists, whatever, try to tell us what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. You know, there is no army on this earth that can match our army. Now, the Chinese have a lot of soldiers, but when it comes to armament technology, they're in the coal.
I agree with you, but you know, Randy, I'm tired. I am sick and tired of these know-nothing, snot-nosed kids that are protesting our flag and saying, well, we want to be globalists in this country. We don't want any borders. Let everybody in. They fail to have any common sense or any brain power at all. Somebody's got to pay the bill. And without borders, without a country, without a head of a government, and without regulations and laws, you've got nothing but utter chaos, and that's what these nincompoops are trying to do.
Oh, they don't know nothing. They don't have a work ethic. They don't know anything. They don't have any resolve. You know, you have determination. I'm determined to do this. These people are asleep. They're smoking dope. Maybe they're on opioids. Who knows?
Well,
they're hippies. They're losers. They don't have anything. But you see, you know, in some respects, you know, they if they could get away with running the peasants, the worker bees, like they think they can, they're delusional, to say the least. You know, in the morning...
I got to go, Randy. Hurry.
No, I'm done. I'll hang up. See you.
I got to run and get a commercial in, but I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. And I'm running out of time. Thank you. I want to give tribute to our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations. The best with a big spring tire sale. Doing the right thing matters, and they do the right thing. They've got tires like the Eclipse tire for your car. And, boy, I tell you, this is an all-season traction tire, advanced tread design. Oh, yeah, and they've got your size that you're looking for in stock and ready to go on your car. And, of course, the best in brake service and front-end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. But above all, the best in service to you for safe driving. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We got to take a little break, and the big boys from CBS will be coming in here and destroying everything we put together. And don't forget Lunch Bunch coming up at Denny's America's Diner on Thursday at 11:30. Okay, Wheels, back over to you. I'll be back in 7. Okay, here we go on a kind of a cloudy, kind of a sprinkly, kind of a rainy Monday morning. And Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations with a great big spring tire sale going on. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho,
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Loyal to the community and people that they serve. And I'm telling you what, folks, get on the route service. Call them at 734-6969 and say, hey, I need to get rid of my garbage. What do I do? Problem solved. They'll come by and pick it up weekly, and you can stand in the doorway and wave goodbye to your problem garbage. It's gone. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. In just about 10 minutes, we're going to be going over to Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Gardens for our gardening show for this morning. Also want to remind you about some great people over in Rupert area, the Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. We talked about them last hour at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, 436-3200. Call them and visit the facility. Take a tour. Check them out. They want you to ask questions. They want you to see the facilities, and they want to serve your family members. Don't forget, they are small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Call them today at 436-3200. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Locally owned and operated assisted living center in Minnecasia area, the only one that's locally owned and operated. You stop by and check them out today. What a great weekend. I'm telling you what, I don't think I could ever have smiled more. It was fantastic Easter weekend. Yesterday we got up and went to the sunrise service at my church, and that was a wonderful, glorious service. Just absolutely enjoyed it. And the whole weekend, Saturday, so special with my family all getting together for the first time in years and years to celebrate Easter. Wow. I was beaming. Hey, don't forget Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Hayburn. The number to call, 678-1177. They do have warm hearts for cold noses. It's a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they love them all. And now, listen to me, this is really important. With the parvovirus for the dogs, so highly contagious, it's a viral infection, and believe me, it can kill. your dogs and puppies. Make sure they get vaccinated. Call Ark Animal Hospital today at 678-1177. That number again, 678-1177. Ark Animal Hospital in Hayburg. All right, give me a call, 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. Love to visit with you about anything that comes to mind. One of the things, did everybody start getting the brochures? You know, remember the little brochures? You get those little handouts in the mail, you know, for various politicians. And I'm not trying to run down any particular politician or any party. I'm just saying in general. Some of the things that they put on their little advertisements, you really, come on, think about it. Like I got one the other day that says, protect life. Yeah, okay, protect life. How? Are you going to guard everybody's home with the 357 every night? Or are you going to send armed guards through the neighborhood? What are you going to do? I mean, protect life. That's it. That was what was said on the card. And then the other one said, create well-paying jobs. Oh, so this individual, this politician is going to start a great big business, and he's going to hire all kinds of thousands of people. He's going to create well-paying jobs. What are they going to, you know, they put all this stuff down on these cards and everything, but they say, well, that's what they're going to do, but how? How are they going to do it? They're going to provide limited government. How are you going to create limited government? How are you going to create excellence in education? How are you going to create well-paying jobs? How are you going to protect life? How are you going to defend the Second Amendment? How are you going to support small businesses, ranchers, and farmers? I don't care what you're in favor of. How are you going to do it? It's too easy to put these political motives and means on a piece of paper, but how are you going to defend it? How are you going to support it? That's what I want to know. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. And boy, Ramsey's have been a Lennox dealer for, my goodness, over a half a century. I mean, my. All you have to do is call 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. You do that today. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to know the nuts and bolts of any politician. Well, I'm going to do this, and this is how I'm going to get it done. A, B, C, D, E, F. Don't just put it on a card or something like that. And protect life. Boy, now there is a wide open statement. What are you going to do? I mean, come on. You're going to stand there and make sure that everything in your neighborhood is protected, or protect life. Come on. Create well-paying jobs. Don't be so ridiculous with these open-ended statements is what I'm saying. I want to say thank you, if I may, to some really nice people at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, the manager, his family and staff. Oh, my. You know, when there's the passing of a loved one, they can travel to the rural towns and churches and help you and your family with all the arrangements. You don't necessarily have to go to them. They really care. And they always treat you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. So I urge you to give them a call, 436-5636. I'll repeat that number, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. They care about your family. Another thing, too, that I want to remind you is Lunch Bunch is going to be this Thursday. Yes, it is. And it's going to be at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 11:30. I'll have everybody there really early. 11:30 on Thursday. I hope I can walk in the door at that time. And it's going to be a special one. We're going to have, and I'm going to tell you right now, a huge, that means really big, birthday celebration for Russell Smith. We're going to have a cake. We're going to have candles. We're going to have a party. We're going to have you, I hope, there on Thursday for Lunch Bunch at 11:30. And don't you miss it. Right now, it is time to learn all about gardening and learn all about how to plant a garden, learn all about what to do and what not to do in a garden, and the lovely lady, I mean, my goodness, she is the queen of gardening, Miss Vicki of Vicki's Country Gardens over in Paul. Good morning.
She has not called in yet, sir. I apologize about that.
Well, once again, we'll say, here's the queen of gardening, hopefully in another moment or so. So while I'm waiting for the queen of gardening to call, I will tell you also about our friends at Let's Ride. Vicki, come on, call. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, my goodness, they've got your brand new four-wheelers over there. They've got the ZTVs. They've got the side-by-sides. Oh, you'd better get in there and check them out. And if you already have four-wheelers and that type of thing, and you haven't had them serviced yet, and I got to get mine in there and get them serviced so I can start hitting the hills, don't forget Let's Ride. Great service department. They've got absolutely all the accessories. It's all there for you. All there, Nick, Randy, the whole crew at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Open Monday through Fridays 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. Let's check back over with Wheels. Do we have Miss Vicki on the phone?
No, sir, not yet.
Well, call her real quick at 438-5663 and tell her to get on the phone real quick, would you?
Yes, sir.
All right, real fast. Attaboy. All right, well, we're waiting for Miss Vicki at Vicki's Country Gardens, and hopefully we'll get everything on the air here in just a moment with her. And later on this morning, we've got Jeannie Mancini with the March for Life back in Washington, D.C., along with at 10:06, Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, and then at 10:32 this morning with the Pacific Legal Foundation, Caleb Trotter, and a story you're not going to believe. That's going to be a wild one at 10:30 this morning. Again, we're waiting for the lovely Miss Vicki to call in, and we want to also remind you over in the Rupert area, this is called padding for time right now. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, 436-4424, the number to call. All your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more to protect you, your family, and your business. You give them a call. Make an appointment today. They are dedicated and responsive to your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, 436-4424. Wheels, did you get her?
I did. She is on the phone for you.
Holy smoke, she's going to get a little black star behind her name today. Good morning, Miss Vicki.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you doing?
I was getting nervous.
Oh, never get too nervous. I might be a little slow, but I'm always there.
Yeah, I know, but, you know, when you're on a radio program and then all of a sudden you say, hello to the queen of gardening, and then there's nothing but dead air, it makes one ponder if he's in the wrong business or not.
There you go. Just keeping you on your toes.
Okay.
That's all I'm doing.
What are you doing over there? Are you getting any rain this morning?
Yes, we are. And you know the old adage is, though, is those April showers bring May flowers and tomatoes and peppers and garden stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'll be honest with you. I've had enough. I've had enough of rain. I don't care what month it is for a while.
Well, I know, but it's when the dirt's blowing here in about the middle of May, the end of May, and the wind's blowing, and we're going to think, dang, we should have rained just a little bit. You know, we're never satisfied.
You know, I wanted to ask you something, and I've wanted to say this to you for a long time to get your opinion. You know, you, of anybody I know, are the most qualified to answer the question, do you really believe in this garbage about climate change and global warming and everything? To me, it looks like April out here with the April showers, like you said, bring May flowers. Do you believe in all this hype and garbage?
No.
Well, that was a simple answer.
It's just nature happening. I mean,
there you go.
I mean, it's just the way it goes. I mean, we've had it for hundreds of years. You'd have 4 or 5 years of hard winters, and then all of a sudden it'd warm up and get a few warm ones, and then you go back to hard winters again. I mean, everybody talked about I think it was 48 or something that was the bad winter, and then all of a sudden it warmed up, and then it'd go back cold again. It's just a roll of the dice. That's just the way it goes.
There you go. That's what I thought my Miss Vicky would say this morning. Hey, I got a question for you from a letter writer that came in last Friday morning on an email to me, and it said, I heard Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden last week talk about compost. I don't know that much about gardening. What does she mean when she says compost?
Well, compost is basically organic matter with the micronutrients in that. It can be manure compost that, where they've taken cleaned the corrals and turned it and put stuff in it to break it down. It lets nature break itself down into a real nice soil addition, soil additive. You can do your own compost with your vegetables, anything out of your kitchens and stuff. You've got potato peelings and scraps and things. You can make your own compost that way by layering it and that. It's basically a very good natural organic matter with lots of micronutrients in it that is a very good soil conditioner and a soil additive.
Okay.
Not a fertilizer necessarily, more of a conditioner and an additive.
Okay, so it's an additive to promote some of the chemicals and enzymes to help further the growth of the product, right?
Right. It conditions the soil and puts a lot of your micronutrients and your microorganisms that have been kind of depleted in soil with all the chemical fungicides and fertilizers and all that kind of thing. It brings them back in, and you have to have the microorganisms in order to have soil work properly.
Okay. We have a caller with a question. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. This is not a question. It's a comment for the global earth thing real quick when she says about Mother Nature and everything. I have a saying I always used to tell my kids, I still do. It's like, you don't mess with Mother Nature. I'll hang up. Thank you very much.
Okay. And
I've said that a million times. I really and truly think Mother Nature has dementia right now and doesn't know whether it's spring, summer, or fall. But that's just, I think she's getting old.
But when you think about it, we need all the CO2. We need CO2. You know that. And we need the rain. And it seems to me to be right on schedule for the way things are. And I'm so sick of these loony bins that are out there saying that we all ought to crawl in a cave and burn buffalo dung.
Well, those are the guys that are making lots of money on that kind of stuff, on those kind of comments to me. And I just think we just need to accept the fact that you're going to have good winters and you're going to have bad winters. You're going to have hot summers. You're going to have cool summers.
Right.
Hasn't got a dang thing to do with anything that we're doing. This old earth has a tendency to rotate around and do its own thing.
Amen.
And, and I think we just need to sit back and be damn glad we're here.
There, I like that. That's my girl. That's my girl right there. Okay. I got another letter. And this one, and I'm going to paraphrase it here a little bit. It was rather long. This person said they have a plot for a garden, and the plot is roughly 30 feet by 50 feet. But they said a lot of it is going to be in shade almost all day long. Will it work or not?
Probably not, because most all of your garden produce needs a good 2/3 of a day of sunshine. There's very little, like tomatoes and that. They just won't grow real well in shade. They don't produce well. They have to have the sunlight in order to produce. And if it would shade up for say from 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock on, you would be fine. But if it's pretty much an all-day shade, I would find someplace that's got at least 6 to 7 hours of good sunlight.
Okay. So it sounds to me like the good old sol hanging in the sky absolutely is beneficial for the growth of those crops.
No, yes, it is. You got to have sunlight. They just don't produce, and they don't grow good. They get leggy because they start reaching for sunlight. They get tall and spindly, and it just doesn't work. They've got to have good old hot sun to dry the ground out to make them to make them grow and make them work.
You know, now I'm going to paraphrase this letter too, Vicki. So stand by for this. I highlighted it. It was about 4 or 5 paragraphs long, but a letter writer said a couple of years ago, Roundup was sprayed where I usually put my garden, and how long do I have to wait before the residual effects of that might affect my garden?
You don't have to wait at all. Roundup is totally deactivates as soon as it hits dirt. It only stays working on green plants. So you can spray your garden, and a couple of days later when the plants start to die, you can just go right in and till them up and be done and go right in and plant. Because Roundup does not stay in the soil. It is totally neutral in the soil. Deactivates completely. It just stops working as soon as it hits dirt.
Okay. And believe me, we're really getting a lot of response to you being on the program. We got another letter that came in and said, I know that Vicki advocates watering our gardens and our flowers and plants, but how do you not get the leaves wet? Somebody told this lady that she's not supposed to get the leaves wet, and she's afraid about a sprinkler system.
Drip systems are an excellent thing. Depends on the plants that you're watering, whether you want to get the leaves wet. Roses do not like to have their leaves wet. That'll cause powdery mildew on those. But a drip system that you can go in and put the water right at the base of the plant, then you don't have to worry about it hitting your house. It doesn't hit anywhere, but right in the dirt, right where it goes onto the plant. And drip systems are a great thing to put in flower beds and things like that. Some things don't mind having water come over them, but sprinklers in the hot sun can burn things. And I'm a strong advocate of drip systems, and in gardens, I like to see either gated pipe or water by row, or drip systems in the gardens. It even works better. It works good because your water goes where it's supposed to go, not when the wind's blowing and it's watering a neighbor.
Okay. I've been accused on this program of operating a daily 3-hour drip system. Hey, quickly, we've only got about 2 minutes left. What's going on over at Vicki's Country Gardens right now?
Well, we got our fruit trees in, a nice selection of fruit trees in that in, a few of our flowering trees, still waiting on a couple orders of shrubs, but we've got berries. Grapes and berries ready to go. Strawberries are here. Baskets are getting ready for Mother's Day, so remember, they go kind of fast. So if you're wanting a special color or a special one, you might want to get in and get your name on it so that you've got it for Mother's Day, because they are starting to get a lot of pink tags hanging on them right now. So we got all the bark and stuff that you need, good compost for your gardens. We're ready for anything that comes to us.
Now, tell everybody the hours and where you're located.
Okay, our hours are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday now, and sometimes we're here later than that. If our cars are here, we're still here. And Saturdays, it will be 10 to 5 on Saturdays.
Okay.
And we're still closed on Sunday. We'll be opening on Sundays probably after the 1st of May.
And it's easy to find right there on the Burley Paul Highway. And I'll tell you something else that's really easy to find. You can see Miss Vicki early in the morning sitting high on that pedestal, the Queen of Gardening.
Oh, Lord. I sure hope I got a parachute on so when I fall, I don't act like Humpty Dumpty and fall and break into pieces.
No.
We're not as young as we used to be, Zeb.
Listen, I can tell you this morning I know exactly what you're talking about. Miss Vicki at Vicki's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. It's always a pleasure. Thank you. And hopefully we'll get more letters for next week and we'll find out what the answers are.
All righty, and everybody can check us out on Facebook for new ideas and things like that, too. So we do have a Facebook page.
Oh, thank you. Vicki, God bless. Have a good one. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Zeb. See ya.
All righty. I love that lady. She is a lot of fun, and she is very, very knowledgeable, too. Vicki at Vicki's Country Gardens. Absolutely. Let's see. I was going to remind you, too, Lunch Bunch again. I want to say thank you very much to Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes, the wonderful folks over there, Doug Martin, and others that help contribute. Denny's, of course, help contribute some of our door prizes for our Lunch Bunch that's coming up on this Thursday at 11:30 at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Don't you miss it. Also want to remind you, too, about Ag Express. They are looking for drivers, and they are looking for you. Ho, ho, ho. I mean, they've got to search out for good qualified people. Even retired folks are welcome. Full and part-time positions. You're home every night and you're using new and maintained equipment. Great vacation schedules and benefit programs. Wow. You better call Dale and Paul at 438-8886 or Alan in Twin Falls at 731-2495 or Russ in Burley at 431-7175. Like I say every day when I do that ad for them, Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and we've had this lovely lady on our program many, many times in the past, and she is the president for the March for Life back in Washington, D.C. Jeannie Mancini, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, if I was any better, the wrong fat man would be wearing my clothes. It's a beautiful.
How do you do?
Well, I tell you, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's spring and April showers, and I've got a question for you. You, of course, with the March for Life, and I applaud what you're doing as far as pro-life is concerned. But before we get started this morning, Jeannie, we've had a lot of times to interview on radio your cause and what you're doing, but the Planned Parenthood groups and the dissenters against pro-life, they seem to always have something to deny your voice to be heard or try to deny your voice to be heard. What are some of the stories that maybe you could relate to us and my audience about some of the things that they have tried to do or have done to you and your movement?
Well, gosh, I guess one thing that's important to know just about them, I don't know if it's so much as opposed to us, except I think it's just as opposed to the broader issue of truth and life, is that they're very, very well endowed in terms of money. I mean, Planned Parenthood is a $1 billion organization, so they have a little bit over $1 billion every year to work with. Compared with the March for Life, we run year-round programs, and we're a small little shop of about $1 million, which is still, that's a modest budget. But when you really consider the opposing, work that they're able to do, it's like David and Goliath. And they have some of the finest minds in PR, available. So I guess one of the things that comes to mind is that for example, you'll remember the David Daleiden videos that came out a couple of summers ago where we saw that Planned Parenthood was involved in the trafficking of little hearts, little lungs, little livers, little baby parts. And it was heartbreaking to see this, and it was kind of a bombshell, when this hit, because so many people think of benevolent, but they think of Planned Parenthood as being a benevolent, a positive, a good thing, like they've done a good job with branding their organization. But when they saw what happens behind closed doors and really the exploitation, not only of the babies whose little lives are being snuffed out, but also the moms, not even knowing that this was happening, it was just shocking. And so in the wake of that, Planned Parenthood hired a very, good sort of crisis PR firm, but they also messaged that somehow this was against the law and it was erroneous, and that's just absolutely false. There was a forensic report that was conducted on the videotapes that were taken, and it showed that there was no splicing, that there was no editing, that there was nothing that was manipulated in those videotapes, and it was just, 100% showing reality as it is. And And the reality, sadly, was convicting and horrifying for many Americans, pro-life and pro-choice, frankly, when they saw that. But so that, I guess that would be one example where even though the truth came out and the reality is that those videos were 100% authentic, that Planned Parenthood spent a lot of money on, a kind of a great crisis PR team and beat the drum on their false rhetorical talking points, and somehow they kind of won the media battle, so to speak, because when you ask people about it, they think those videos were manipulated, and they weren't. They were absolutely truth, and forensic reports have shown that.
Absolutely.
One example.
Absolutely. You hear, I hear, everybody hears on the radio, the television, stories in the newspaper, the liberal left will say, oh, my goodness, why, we can't have Planned Parenthood defunded. We can't close it down because women would have nowhere to go for help. And that is the biggest perpetrated lie that they could ever say, is it not?
It is, and what I would recommend your listeners do is consider checking out this website. It's called getyourcare.org, getyourcare.org, and it's got all of the different community health centers that would receive the Medicaid funding that Planned Parenthood would no longer be eligible for the next year if they were to lose their Medicaid eligibility, essentially. So what we're talking about here is not a full defunding of Planned Parenthood, but if one of these bills were to get through Congress, perhaps on the reconciliation package with the budget and what have you, what would happen is the percentage of grants that Planned Parenthood now gets through Medicaid reimbursement, they'd no longer be eligible for. So right now they get almost $500 million. So almost half of their budget comes from federal and state grants, and of that, 80% is Medicaid reimbursements. So women would instead go to these other clinics, which, by the way, outnumber Planned Parenthood clinics by 20 to 1. And they do a full range, a much broader range of health services. They're not only the health services around reproductive health, which is primarily what Planned Parenthood does. They're much broader. I mean, we're talking diabetes testing, prenatal vitamins, things like that, all sorts of other, holistic healthcare options that are utilized in these community health centers. So check out getyourcare.org. I was just asked by a reporter the other day from Arizona, what happens if the 4 Planned Parenthood clinics don't receive their reimbursements there? Well, we did a small count from that website, and within a 10-mile radius, there were like 30 clinics that people could go to. So, again, some false messaging that's happening right now. There's going to be lots of opportunities for people to go to holistic, real healthcare centers.
Let me ask you this question about these healthcare centers versus Planned Parenthood. How is the funding derived for these other healthcare centers versus the taxpayers forced to reimburse and supply funding for Planned Parenthood?
Well, I think that everyone is a little bit unique, so I'm not sure that you can do exactly like a cookie cutter, but primarily these are health centers that are community health centers, so they receive the majority of their funding through state and federal grants. But these are, holistic health centers. They're not abortion clinics. And again, they offer the full range of different health services from, beginning of life to end of life kind of thing. So we're not talking just reproductive services here, which is essentially what Planned Parenthood offers.
Okay. Now, Jeannie, you mentioned 20 to 1 ratio, and I want to make sure I understand this. So you said the healthcare centers actually have a 20 to 1 ratio in favor of the healthcare centers over Planned Parenthood. Well, then why not a better advertising program so the public could say, like I do, we don't need Planned Parenthood?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it comes back to the first one that you asked, which is, what are some of the sneaky things that Planned Parenthood does? And one of the best things that they do is messaging. So there's really not a need for Planned Parenthood to receive Medicaid reimbursements because so many other places offer these health services, for women. And so that's really just false. It's not accurate. But they're doing a really good job of beating the drum, and they've got, like I said, a $1 billion budget, and a lot of it goes towards marketing. So sadly, the general public has misinformation about what will happen if Planned Parenthood is defunded, or really what's happening here is not a defund, but they're no longer eligible for Medicaid reimbursements for a year.
Now, we're seeing almost the first 100 days of the Donald Trump administration come to fruition. What are your thoughts? Are you happy with what you're seeing? Are you happy with what you're hearing? Are you happy with what's taking place? What's going on right now in your favor?
Well, so when you consider that when you ask me, I'm speaking on behalf of the March for Life Education and Defense Fund, so strictly from a pro-life perspective, the administration has been very strong. What we've seen is, first of all, within the first day or two of being named, of actually being in office, the president reinstated the Mexico City policy, which prohibits abortion providers from receiving U.S. government foreign aid money. So that was a great move. We also named the most important thing. I mean, perhaps the single most important thing is we got the naming and the nomination of Judge Neil Gorsuch, now Justice, Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch, and so that's just really a game changer on so many levels, and a great replacement for Justice Scalia, for the late great Justice Scalia. So that was wonderful. We also saw unprecedented support for the March for Life. I mean, really historic support for the March for Life, with the Vice President participating in the March for Life and speaking to all of the marchers, with Mrs. Pence there as well, and that was incredible. And we also had Kellyanne Conway, who's a regular at the March for Life. So that was wonderful. And then, what we saw last week is that the President signed into law, really he undid sort of this late gift that President Obama gave to Planned Parenthood, which is essentially that Obama had restricted states that they were no longer able to not fund Planned Parenthood. They weren't allowed to restrict funding to abortion providers, and the president undid that really unjust law, allowing states more freedom, and especially in the cases where they didn't want to provide funding for abortion providers. So that was just last week. So there's been a lot happening, and I think a lot to come as well.
Jeannie, let me ask you, and I know you and I have talked about this before, but I just think that this whole country, the United States of America, needs to have a renovation project to where we start really sitting down, looking in the mirror, and starting to analyze ourselves and our motives, and whether it's regarding the right to life at birth or whether it's protecting our seniors. I think we've got to get respect for life back into this country. Your thoughts?
I couldn't agree more. It's the single most important issue. It's understanding the inherent dignity of the human person from conception to natural death. And right now, of course, we are seeing many battles in terms of the later stages of life. But it's the single biggest problem is that we lack a clear understanding and love and respect for the inherent dignity of the human person from conception to natural death. Regardless of if they've got disability, regardless of if they're in pain, regardless of if there's a disease, that every life is a gift and every life has inherent human dignity.
Okay, so what's a day in the life of Jeannie Mancini like with the being president for the March for Life? I mean, holy smokes, how do you keep up with everything?
Well, January and December are certainly a very busy month with the actual planning of the march, and we have a staff of 5 full-time and 1 part-time person here at the march, and we do a number of year-round programs. Especially, we take the collective voice of the marchers day in and day out to Capitol Hill to try to enact pro-life public policy, and we're not a partisan organization, even though the way that things go these days, it's a little bit easier to work with Republicans, but we're actually nonpartisan and try to get people from both sides of the political aisle to speak at the March for Life and to work with us on these issues. So a day in the life can have anything to do with a meeting at the National Park Service to a media interview on the crisis du jour, of pro-life issues, to potentially going to meet with some different members of Congress about something that's happening, a few weeks down the road related to life issues. So there's never a dull moment around here because there's never a lack of work for people who are working to build a culture of life.
Well, I absolutely respect what you and your organization is doing, and please know that any time you're welcome on this program. President for the March for Life, Jeannie Mancini, thank you so much for taking the time to come on my program this morning.
Thank you, and a very happy Easter to you.
And the same right back at you. Thank you very much. Very nice lady right there, Jeannie Mancini, President for the March for Life, and just really inspirational and upbeat, and I appreciate that. Calls will be welcome and appreciated. And right now, we're going to get a weather forecast on in here. Holy smokes, it's cloudy outside this morning. Let's take a look at our weather this hour, brought to you by some friends of mine. They really are friends of mine and should be friends of yours. They are the professionals, and that's Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. The very best of tax return preparation, tax planning, and financial statement preparation, retirement planning. The list goes on and on. These people are good, and they need to work for you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with locations in Burley and Rupert, and right now, they bring you the weather.
Welcome to spring here in southern Idaho, and it is definitely going to feel like it all this week. We are expecting rain showers, especially this morning, going to be dissipating as we get through the afternoon hours. Plus, it is going to be windy out of the west, right around 16 miles an hour. Expect a high of 58, tonight low of 44. Tomorrow, rain showers, 50% chance off and on throughout the day, high of 54, overnight low of 38. Windy and sunny for Wednesday, high of 62, overnight low of 41. More rain showers expected for Thursday, especially in the morning, high of 54, and then mostly sunny and 58 for Friday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina does a great job on that weather forecast, brought to you by some people that can really help you, your business, your partnership, your corporation, and that's Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. As I said, the very best of tax return preparation. Ooh, that's a bad word, taxes. Tax planning, financial statement preparation, payroll services, retirement planning, all of this and more. And they've got two locations, 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, serving you and all of Magic Valley. All right, your turn. Give me a call on the landline 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Spooky little story here. And I mean this, a spooky little story about that Orofino teenager that was reported missing, and he was last seen at the Orofino High School prom on Saturday night. And 17 years of age. And he left the prom, they said, shortly after 9:30 p.m. on Saturday. And he's not been heard from since. Police found the teenager's tuxedo jacket, one shoe, and his broken cell phone. And they have used a canine tracking team, and they found out that this person, Mr. Kristen Perez, may have walked a short distance from the prom and possibly was picked up in a vehicle. And anybody, and they're asking everybody in the state that has any knowledge about what might have happened to this young man to call the Orofino police at 476-5551. You know, there's never an end to worrying about your kids, worrying about where they are, worrying about what's going on, and we certainly hope that young man is found safe and sound. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know, it's really interesting, Zeb. They're trying to tell us a few years down the road the oceans are going to inundate us, yet they can't get a forecast right, 48 hours down the road, or certainly, within a week. Everything changes. It's just amazing. By the way, if April showers bring Mayflowers, what do Mayflowers bring?
The Pilgrims.
Good for you. Yeah. A lot of it's surprising how many people still don't know that one,
Hey, I want to give you...
in our schools, perhaps, they're not teaching much about the Pilgrims anymore.
I want to give you kudos over something, and I don't have a lot of time, but I want you to give me just a short answer on this. I want to give you kudos on that matchup, if you will, in the Times News about climate change or global warming. I thought your response to the Times News, a question about climate change, made so much more sense than the idiocy that they tried to counterbalance you with on the left.
Actually, I wrote that to counterbalance the Democrat representative that had that big rally up at this, the Capitol building. And, of course, their yellow journalism, they couldn't let it go that I could just have a column by myself. No, they got to throw that. Like I say, it was over. I was limited to 800 words, and I begged for that. And so they put in 1,000-word letter to on the same page.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So this is the yellow journalism goes on. But, no, I appreciate your... people need to be looking up Heartland Institute, look up thenewamerican.com, and co2science.org. And I can tell you, our poor plants are out there starved for CO2 so they can make more oxygen and more food.
Let me ask you this.
Crop production has actually gone up, not because of, certainly a lot of the new techniques that we're using, but the extra CO2 is enriching the atmosphere, and things are. There's commercial greenhouses, and a friend of mine runs a greenhouse in the Tegerman area, and he has another operation down in Layton, Utah, and they do actually fertilize their plants down there. It's, I guess, more convenient to do that. And the growth, he says, is phenomenal.
Well, wait a minute, Adrian. Let me jump in here for a minute, Adrian.
The warming thing, Deb, is to redistribute the wealth and to the third world nations, and make us a third world nation and control us.
All right, let me jump in. Let me jump in for just a minute, please. I need to ask you a question here. You tell me, as a scientist and a professional agronomist, tell me one society in the world at any time that would be much better off going into a colder climate and what they would do to grow their food. Tell me one society that would be better off.
Well, there would be none. When we're basically we need to realize that we go through climate cycles, and it's this goes back forever and ever. You and I are old enough to remember how cold it was way back in the 50s and early 60s. Then it warmed up. Now it's in the process of cooling off again. But the planet does much better when we have warmer temperatures.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. One volcano goes off, Mount Pinatubo, 1991. If you remember 93, we didn't have a summer. It lowered the global temperature 1.3 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yep.
That's significant.
Absolutely.
That's more than all this global warming hype is supposed to reduce the temperature. So one volcano did that. And so the volcanoes alone put out more pollutants than all mankind, one volcano, that we do in a whole year. So it's all a hoax. It's, folks, just wake up to the fact that we've been duped. They spend billions and billions of dollars to try to convince us. And, of course, all the mainstream media and the left-wing politicians all think, we're going to die. Our politicians, even here in Idaho, are saying the same thing. But this is what they teach in schools, Ed.
Yep, I know, and I appreciate your call, and I got to get you back out of here on the program so we can do another show on that, a full segment. Adrian, thank you. God bless you, and thank you for the nice Easter wish. That was very, very nice. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad you had a nice Easter. I did, too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I got a lot of nice Easter wishes from my guests on this program and friends and neighbors and everything, and we did. I think Deanne will shake her head over in the background. Okay, Deanne, shake your head, yes. We had a wonderful Easter, did we not? Yes, she did. Okay. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear about this great big sale going on at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More? Oh, my! I mean, they've got everything on sale. Look at this list of recliners. Wow. And if you haven't been in there to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley and seen that great big area for the recliners, you got to go in and test drive one. I mean, you got to go in and test drive a recliner. You got to sit in it. Then you got to take the bar and you got to sit back in it. And then you got to get real comfy and cross your legs a little bit and then pretend like you're sleeping. You might end up that way. Well, you're going to love all the selection. You got to test drive one of those recliners. Because they've got them for short people. They've got them for tall people. They've got them for skinny people. And they've got them for the rest of us. So you be sure and stop in and check it out today. And their big no tax plan sale going on. No money down, no interest for 12 months on approved credit at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. Really, really nice people. All right, I got time for another call. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Hey, tomorrow morning, I think if I have time on the program, I'm going to get into another one of these crazy stories about how, oh my, certain Indian tribes are just, why, they're gnashing their teeth and they're crying big alligator tears and saying that the Cleveland Indians and the Milwaukee Braves and the Kansas City Chiefs and the rest of them, they've got to stop this onslaught against the Indian tribes. Oh, they're insensitive. I'm sick of this. There's not one team, the Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, anybody that is ever doing anything except showing pride and honor to the American Indian. Let's take this call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, when you were talking to the woman about the March for Life, I had a think outside of the box moment. Okay, I have 5 children. Their blood types are not the same as mine. So that means I can never donate blood to my own children. Before they were born, when they were sweet little babies, they were not my body because that was not my blood type.
Mm-hmm. And make your point on that, though, so that everybody understands where you're going on this.
Well, because sometimes they do surgery on babies in utero. As their mother, I'm hooked up to them.
Yes.
By the placenta.
Yes.
But I couldn't donate my blood to them if they needed it while they were doing surgery on my baby in utero. So that's not, because women say, well, it's my body and I can do what I want with it. No, it's not your body because your baby doesn't have your blood type.
There you go. You brought up an excellent point here, and thank you for discussing that with us. And I don't want to be rude to you. You're a very good listener, but I'm up against the clock right now to go to the news. But please call me again, would you? Thank you. All right, God bless. We have got to take a run right now for the news for CBS, and then we're going to come back at 10:06, and I called him earlier this morning and talked to him, and I said, Scott, would you please come on the program, kind of give us a wrap-up from a very... Well, it wasn't like they normally should be or ought to be, legislative session, so he's going to be on with me at 10:06, Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, and then at 10:30 we're going to have Attorney Caleb Trotter. So don't you go anywhere, just turn the radio up louder. Zeb at the Ranch, I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Oh, my goodness sakes, now the sun's starting to poke through the clouds. Here I thought it was going to rain all day. Looks like it might be a nice day. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, our great advertisers that include also Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service 734-6969. Let me see. We got to brag a little bit about our friends over at Kelly Bearing Supply. Hello, Kelly's Bearing Supply at 1407 East Main in Burley. I love their slogan. You'll know where you're at when you get your bearings at Kelly's. Absolutely. Zach and Brett and the whole crew are the bearing specialists, and they don't want you sitting around waiting for parts for your machine. Just get on in there. Kelly Bearing Supply, keeping everything on hand so you don't have to waste your time or money. They're located at 1407 East Main in Burley. Kelly's Bearing Supply. You stop in and see them today. Very, very honored to have with us a man that has done very well in his ranching and also his ability to serve the public of Idaho as Speaker of the House, and Representative Scott Bedke on the phone with us this morning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, Zeb. It's if the sun's out in Murtaugh, it's not in Oakley. We were going to help the neighbor's brand here today, and looks like we just got rained out. So anyway,
well,
it's all good.
Tell us a little bit, and I'm kind of tentative about how to phrase any kind of verbiage about the session. I would say it was a rather unique legislative session. Would you agree?
Well, I think that it was. I think we ended up doing good things for the state of Idaho. At least as on the House side, we got off to a rocky start. We had some, I guess less than adult behavior that had to be addressed, but we did, and everybody seemed to buckle down to work the last 2/3 of the session, and so I think that on balance, it was a good session. In that we got quite a bit of good work accomplished for the state. Number one, I think, is we stayed the course on the 5-year plan for public schools, including a major investment in career technical education. And that is something that's going to pay dividends to the state of Idaho down the road. Kind of our whole theme this year was to invest in Idaho and invest in areas that would position the state of Idaho to prosper in the future, and to do the things that are proper roles of government, but then to get out of the way and let the citizens grow the economy. So we did that, I believe, with public schools and the continuing technical education, which we used to call the vocational education, but that's much more than it was when even when our kids were in high school, and certainly much more than it was when I was in high school. So that's all to the end of getting these kids that are coming through with a skill set so that they can get a good job. And then from that point on, if they choose to go get a baccalaureate degree at a university, that they have a trade or something that they can fall back on to put themselves through the rest of their education. Or if they choose to make a career, that they're very well positioned to do that as well. And I think that is going to be a bright spot as we look back on this year. I think another thing, we had quite a winter this year, as you may recall. We have a lot of road work to do now, and in addition to the big road package that we did that will be for statewide, we also set aside about $52 million to address the more local issues. There's a lot of gravel roads out there that have been washed out. There's a lot of culverts out there that have been washed out. There's a lot of, when we had that winter flood event, I guess is what you call it, back in February, that took a lot of our infrastructure out as far as roads, and that's got to all be repaired. And we set aside $52 million, which is not a lot of money when it comes to the whole state, but it's certainly more than we've ever done in the past, and that'll go out, needs-based. So if you got a problem, then this will go out to address the problem. It won't just be divvied out, pro rata around the state. So there's that.
Okay.
I think for our area, one of the most exciting things, Zebs, is the fact that we took the first steps and put the money down to move the livestock education system from the University of Idaho in Moscow down to the Magic Valley. And that's going to be a big deal. So the Center for Animal Food Processing Environmental Research, or the CAFE is what they're calling it, is in the process of being moved down here, and I think that's going to be a great investment for our area for years and years to come. Wouldn't it be nice if we had an Ames, Iowa type research center right here in the Magic Valley?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the type of vision that many of us have, is to have a state-of-the-art animal food processing, environmental research research facility right here, and we're kind of excited about that. So, those are probably three of the big things that we did, Zeb, that are going to pay dividends down the road. We also got a great, downtown Boise is booming right now, and most of the state agencies lease office space down in downtown Boise. And so, and it was getting pretty expensive, and plus you're competing with the private sector. So the HP, the Hewlett-Packard campus out on the end of Chinden, became available. And although HP is not leaving the state of Idaho, they'd like to get their money out of their real estate and lease it back. And so the state entered into a contract with them and they've already got the building. So as each of these leases comes due, whether it's the tax commission or the Fish and Game or any of the other state agencies that are in downtown Boise, as those leases come due, we'll put them out in these buildings as we refurbish them, and we'll save a lot of money in the future consolidating all of these agencies in one place, and it's a lot cheaper to own than it is to lease, and so anyway, that's another very positive thing that doesn't have too much effect directly for our area, but it will save all Idahoans, all taxpayers in Idaho money in the future.
Scott,
anyway, that's some of the things that we did real quick anyway.
Well, Scott, on this program, I try to be as fair as possible, but I'm not going to run away and hide from any subject matter, and I want to go back to the roads for a minute. It's all well and good that we're going to have reparation on the roads. It's all well and good to say that we've got so much money allocated for the roads, but as well as I do that I think we've got a problem that has to be addressed, and that's the overweight on the trucks on the roads, because you're going to have an exacerbated problem again next year after the roads have been repaired. Is there going to be a lot of study about weights and extra taxes, etc.? Because we're still going to have another problem.
I would agree. While I hate to see a weigh station out on these secondary routes, like they have on the interstate, of course, there are weigh stations. But I think that if you're going to have rules, then you've got to enforce them. And whether it's a roving weight stations, and the industry, the truckers hate that. But by the same token, taxpayers hate rebuilding roads. And so these roads we got to take care of them, not only in preventing damage, but we've got to keep them on a regular maintenance schedule. And I don't think that we should shy away from those type of hard discussions. Just because and we love our agriculture here in the area, and we're glad that there's all this food processing here. But as we're hauling those products to the processor, we've got to do it in a lawful way. And I'm not saying that we don't, but we have got to. If we have load limits, they have to be enforced, because we don't just put those on just for recreational purposes. That's to keep the roads up to snuff. And I don't think you should shy away from this subject at all. And you live where you can see it. You have a front row seat where you could see it happening, and I'm no stranger to it as well. And we've got to we've got to enforce our load limits.
One thing you said earlier, and I wanted to respond with a comment in complete favor of what you're talking about, and that was the career technical education for the state of Idaho. And you know something, Scott? This is long overdue. We have had the need for plumbers and electricians and people that can get out there and fix things, and not everybody is qualified for a 4-year college or university education, nor should they be wasting that money to just sit in school and become a paid activist. We need to instill in these kids that there's a lot of good $100,000 a year jobs, more than $100,000 a year, and all they have to do is get involved in these technical trainings.
Agreed. I couldn't agree more, Zeb. These are very honorable professions, but what's happening is people, these kids are going to college, and they're taking a couple of years of, trying to get a business degree or a communications degree or some other degree, and not finishing that degree and having to come back and take these other jobs and go back into these other professions, and finding out that that's where they should have been there, from day one. And to expose our kids at an earlier in their education career to these other jobs and these other good paying jobs is very, I think, is a great investment in our area. We are at our area is one of the lowest unemployment rates in the state. Is right about 3%, and that they'll say that's that's full employment. I still say that there's 3 out of every 100 people that still ought to be getting a job. But anyway, but the more we invest in career technical, the better our area and the state of Idaho will be, because the jobs that are coming to our area are technical in nature, and they don't necessarily require a 4-year degree to perform them. There's a skill set that we got to acquire, and then you can go out and, like you said, get a great degree. My daughter was able to, for example, and they're not just in food processing; they're in the medical arts as well. My daughter was able to get an associate's degree in medical imaging. And then she was able to go get a job immediately at the hospital that paid for the rest of her baccalaureate degree in the same field. So just exposing these kids to what is really available out there, and how much demand there is out there for a skilled laborer is the answer here. And so, like I say, we made a major investment in that, as well as in the public schools, to kind of redirect our thinking a little bit towards career technical. And your instincts, we've had this conversation, you and I, before, and your instincts on this subject have been right on.
Scott, one of the things that we didn't address so far, and we've got about 8 minutes left, I know that there were a lot of situations and there were a lot of topics that didn't get a finalization at the session this year. What's going on during the course of the summer with any study or research, and what are some of the problems that are going to come up again next fall?
Well, number one is exactly the issue you brought up, is the weight distance. It's our heavy trucks that are on the road. It is, if they're not paying their fair share, then they need to, and we love to see the economic activity that happens, and having a lot of traffic and trucks hauling here and there. That's just an indication of how well our economy is doing. But at the same time, each one of those trucks is doing damage to the road in a way that my sedan or my F-250 is not, or your pickup, either one. I mean, you can drive a long time on the road without doing any damage on that. But if you're hauling 129,000 pounds, then that's a different story. And so that's one of the things we're doing this interim. Another interim study committee is the public school funding formula committee. Right now, we fund we fund the school systems by the classroom unit, and so Murtaugh gets so much per classroom, the same as Burley does, same as Decla does, same as Mountain Home, etc. And but it doesn't recognize the mobility of the students, that are in school now. It does in the early grades, but it doesn't in the later grades, where you may have a 10th grader that is spending time in the traditional school. He may run in the afternoon out to a career technical center of some kind. He may be online part of the time, and then and then she may run over to the Cassia Regional Technical Center to study medical arts or dental hygiene or something like that. And so what we've got to have is a system where the dollars follow the kids, and we need to pay have the money flow out based on the student or on a per student way rather than on a per classroom way. And at the same time, we got to recognize that it takes a certain amount of critical mass, a certain amount of overhead in a smaller school, and Idaho has a lot of small schools. They're not all just large they're not all just large schools and large school districts. There's a lot of small schools and small school districts. So at the same time, it's going to always cost more to educate kids in a rural setting than it is in Meridian, for example, because Meridian's able to capture the economies of scale that we'll never capture out in Murtaugh, Idaho, for example. So we've got to recognize that, but that's one of the other things that we're doing as well. There's we're doing follow-up on the criminal justice system to make sure that that people are paying for their crimes, but we've got to beef up the parole system so that so these people that are in prison for nonviolent crimes can come out of there educated and get assimilated back into society and begin to pay taxes and pay back. So those are the ones that come to mind. I think there's one also on the foster care system that while I'm not very familiar with that, I'm told that needs some major tune-up as well. And so anyway, those are just several of the things we're going to be doing in the interim committee.
Scott, we've got about 3 minutes left in this segment, and I know it's not fair to get into this next subject without more time, but just gloss over some of the facts. There was a lot of consternation, and I know Fred Wood and I talked about this many times on my program, about the Medicaid problem here in the state of Idaho, 78 to 80,000, et cetera, that were falling in the gap, et cetera. What's been the addressing to that problem?
Well, I think there was some hope that at the federal level there'd be clear direction, and while I think there is some optimism that they will come out with with something different than the old Obamacare, I think that we have got to be prepared to what are we going to do if they don't, for example. So. But we'll have a friendly administration. We'll have a friendly federal government at that point. So I think that the state of Idaho ought to get creative and go ahead with the ideas that we think would work for Idaho, and then petition the federal government for waivers in the if there's obstacles that get in our way of implementing that. Then I think we ought to petition the federal government and the Trump administration to allow us to have the waivers so that we can begin to address this problem. Like you said, it's not we have a population that doesn't qualify for any help on the state exchange when it comes to buying private insurance or Medicaid, so they're just caught in the gap there. And and I think that there's probably some responsibility that we owe to those people to make it more fair. It's not right that you subsidize someone's health insurance purchases when they're a family of four that's making $75,000, and at the same time, you have working poor that don't qualify for either Medicaid or the subsidies. So I don't like Obamacare, but it looks like we're stuck with it for at least the foreseeable, and so we got to get proactive as a state. We got to get pragmatic and realistic, and if we're stuck with it for a while, then we ought to get creative and petition the federal government to make some changes that so we can start addressing these problems. I think that's fairly consistent with where Representative Wood is And I think that would be the sentiment across the board of the legislature.
Now, one final thought here, and politicians are too easily criticized by the general public and the media. And I'll just say this. When you close the door the last day of the session, I'm sure there probably wasn't a kumbaya and a chocolate s'more party, but do you think that maybe there might be a better get-along next session in 2018?
Well, I hope that there is. That's not going to, I'm not asking anyone to compromise their core principles, but I am asking all legislators, particularly in the House, to do those things that they're taught in Sunday school, and to put those things into action during the week. I mean, it's common sense that when you're in a big group like that, you gotta act in a way to get along. You can't get anything done if you don't have a majority of your House members along with you. So that's 36 people. So no one gets to be an island. No one gets to have their own way. And the quicker people learn that, the better off we'll all be, and the better off Idaho will be. Because like we've talked about today, there's a lot of unfinished business out there that we need to be working on, and it's unproductive to quarrel and to say my way or the highway, and throw a wrench in the workings of the legislative process. Those are just delay tactics, and those are just that's just a way of saying, hey, I'm not getting my way, so no one else is going to get their way either, and that's not right.
Well, I want to say how much I appreciate you taking the time out of a busy schedule, and he's a dear friend of me and my wife and our program, Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke. God bless you and your family, and have a great summer, and please don't make yourself a stranger. Come back soon.
Well, I will, Zeb. I appreciate you and the civic-minded approach that you take with this program. I really do appreciate it.
All right, sir. Go Brand. We'll see you later. Thank you very much. Scott Bedke.
Well, we're rained out, so anyway, we'll do something else.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Speaker of the House and a great gentleman for the state of Idaho, Scott Bedke, and I've always appreciated the way he's very straightforward on all matters. We're going to send it back over to Wheels in just a few moments, but I want to remind everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. All you have to do is call them at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. Wow, this morning has really gone by fast. Great, big, heavy, fluffy clouds out there this morning. We've already had a little bit of a rain shower here and there, but enjoy the day. We'll be back in about maybe 3 or 4 minutes. We're going to send this back over to Wheels, and then we'll have Pacific Legal Foundation attorney, and that's Caleb Trotter on the air at 10:32. Stay tuned.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll-free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, and good day to you on this Monday, April the 17th. My goodness sakes. Hey, by the way, before we get our guest on the phone, I want to remind you on Thursdays we have a segment on our program called Cassia County School Days, and it's brought to you by two of our great sponsors. First of all, A Child's World at 1308 Overland and Burley. Oh, my goodness, they've got spring outfits 20% off, and they've got all the baby cribs 50% off. My goodness, it's a great place to get affordable baby gifts and clothing and games and puzzles. A family store. You stop in at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. Along with the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue, Suite E in Burley, and a great place to save you money on outpatient surgery. That's right. It's the only place in southern Idaho to have glaucoma surgery, knee pain, hands going numb, life-saving colonoscopies, all of this and more. Call for more information at 677-8888. A Child's World and Ambulatory Surgery Center bringing you Cassia County School Days. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and this man has been on our program before, and he is with the Pacific Legal Foundation, Caleb Trotter. Good morning, Caleb. How are you?
Doing well, Zeb. Good morning to you.
You know, I got to ask you something, Caleb. You don't hear that name anymore. Caleb, I like that's a good old frontiersman name. How did your parents come up with that first name?
Well, are you familiar with the Robert Redford film Jeremiah Johnson?
Yes.
It's one of my father's favorite films, and the boy in the movie was named Caleb, and that combined with my parents' Baptist upbringing made for the name choice.
I like that name, Caleb Trotter. Boy, I mean, that's a cowboy western name. I like that. Okay, now, what in the world is going on in West Virginia? Do you mean to tell me that if I wanted to have a certain type of business, I got to get approval from the competitors before I can hang my shingle on the front door? What's going on here?
Well, if the business you own and run is a moving company, then yes. So the way it works, if you do a move within the state of West Virginia, then you have to have what's called a certificate of necessity. And essentially what that means is you have to prove that your business is needed before you start business. And, well, that's, for all practical purposes, about impossible. The only way to prove a business is needed is to go into business, and if you're able to survive and succeed, then clearly your business was needed. Before Starbucks opened, I don't think anyone thought that a massive coffee chain was necessary or needed, but only with their success were you able to see that it was needed. And to kind of highlight the absurdity, if you operate your moving business across the border in Virginia, you could still move people who are moving from Virginia into West Virginia or vice versa, but only if you were doing the move entirely within the state of West Virginia would you be required to go through this ridiculous process.
You have totally boggled my mind. Do you mean to tell me in the year of our Lord, 2017, we have such an absolutely antiquated law that says basically that your competitors are going to give the death knell to you and your business if you want to compete with them? This is asinine.
Exactly, and you got to already brought up where I was going with that next is that it gets worse. Not only do you have to get this certificate, but as part of the process of applying for it, all of the competitors in the state, the existing moving companies, can file a protest, and it doesn't have to be based on the fact that you're an unsafe company, you don't have insurance, you've ripped people off. It could just be as straightforward as they don't want to have a new competitor. And in fact, that's what happens all the time and has routinely happened in West Virginia.
Well, now, wait a minute. I'm a little bit confused. And by the way, over at the station, Wheels, we're getting a little feedback here, so monitor that gain a little bit. But I'm a little bit confused. How many moving companies are we talking about, and how did they become moving companies without their competitors saying no to them?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, this kind of law goes back to kind of the New Deal era, and the concern was that if you had too many hospitals, well, then maybe none of them could make enough money and they would close, and so you'd wind up with no hospitals as opposed to too many. But this hasn't really been updated, and so some of it's kind of hard to tell, but in recent years, what's tended to happen is when a new applicant is protested, what they'll wind up doing is they'll buy the business that protested them. So some of these companies have seen it as kind of their retirement plan.
Oh, my.
And so as soon as you offer to buy the protesting business, they'll then drop their protest and they'll take over that license. And that's kind of what we've seen to be the pattern, and not just West Virginia, but in several states throughout the country.
Yeah, but Caleb, let me ask you this question then, and I'm a little bit naive about this subject matter that we're talking about this morning, but why just moving companies? Why couldn't it be like coffee shops? Why couldn't it be a shoe store? Why couldn't it be any kind of other business? Why moving companies?
You know, it's a good question. I don't really have an answer for it. It's with the specific history of that, like most of these kind of laws originated within the healthcare sector. It's also because these tend to be regulated through like utility and public service commission type regulatory entities. And for whatever reason, I'm just not really aware of why it was moving companies, but it's limited to those, medical, as well as in some states limousine, taxi type companies. But I don't really know.
You know, when you talk about West Virginia, are there other states that maybe have this law on the books that people are unaware of?
Yes, Pacific Legal Foundation, we, a few years ago, sued the state of Kentucky for a virtually identical law. That actually got through, and we won in federal trial court, and at that point, Kentucky stopped fighting it, and they let it be without appealing. We've also brought similar lawsuits in Montana and Nevada and Missouri, and more often than not, once all this gets out and the public realizes how ridiculous this is, and I guess it's more fleshed out in the legislature, they've chosen to repeal their laws instead of continuing to fight it in court. And that's the good news. Actually, the exact same thing has very recently happened in West Virginia. The legislature just a couple weeks ago voted to repeal this ridiculous law, and it's now just waiting for the governor to sign it.
You know, when you get involved in these kinds of court cases and legal hassles, has it amazed you so far working for the Pacific Legal Foundation that of all the stupid, I mean really brainless laws that are on the books that are still there and nobody's challenged these laws?
Yes and no. And when you think about it, it does take kind of a rare individual who's willing to put their name, their business, kind of their reputation, everything on the line, and deal with not just necessarily the expense, since we represent all of our clients for free, but just the hassle, the effort, the limelight, and to be going against either the state directly or some state government entity. It's a lot to take on, and it's certainly not for everyone, and that's to be understandable. So in that regard, it's not really that surprising that some of these laws haven't been challenged. But often, some people don't know that you can, or that it's possible to do. A lot of attorneys don't really make their living making constitutional challenges. So. And some things, they just kind of fly by the wayside, and all of the entities supporting that status quo have no interest in letting on that anyone could challenge.
Let me ask you this final thought. Give us a little bit of an explanation about the Pacific Legal Foundation. Why are you here? What do you do? And what cases do you choose?
Sure. Pacific Legal Foundation, we specialize in representing entrepreneurs, property owners, people who are just looking to earn a living free of unnecessary, overly burdensome government regulation. When we started 45 years ago, we saw that there were a number of public interest law firms doing things to support more government benefits, and our founders decided, well, we need someone there looking out for entrepreneurs and property owners who are harmed by burdensome government regulation, and that the economy would be stronger and better with less regulation. And that's what we do. We represent all of our clients free of charge. And for more information, our website is www.pacificlegal.org.
I appreciate you, Caleb. You do a great job, and thank you for being on our program, Caleb Trotter. And come back soon. I'll look forward to that day in that case. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Zeb.
All right, sir. Very interesting. Can you imagine in this day and age that there would be what's called a competitor's veto law? Basically, that's what it's called, to where, like in the case of these moving businesses, if they don't want you to come into the state and they don't want you as a competitor, they can put thumbs down and stop your business. Absolutely insane. Oh, my goodness. In this day and age, can you imagine that? We better have the weather forecast. And the weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, Don Scarrow and his crew, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website. Oh, go to their website. Delicious, delicious meats. Oh, my goodness. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. They've got all the breakfast sausages, the bratwurst, and they've got a new kind of a bacon called the buckboard bacon, leaner and more economical than traditional bacon, and it comes in different flavors like smokehouse and barbecue, ranch and peppered. Oh, it is so good. You're going to love all the meats from Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Welcome to spring here in southern Idaho, and it is definitely going to feel like it all this week. We are expecting rain showers, especially this morning, going to be dissipating as we get through the afternoon hours. Plus, it is going to be windy out of the west, right around 16 miles an hour. Expect a high of 58, tonight low of 44. Tomorrow, rain showers, 50% chance off and on throughout the day, high of 54, overnight low of 38. Windy and sunny for Wednesday, high of 62, overnight low of 41. More rain showers expected for Thursday, especially in the morning, high of 54, and then mostly sunny and 58 for Friday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Rain.
Doing a great job, Gina. Thank you. And the weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Oh, you know what? Come on, give me a call. We'll talk about any subject you want to bring up right now. Anything, come on. First person to call gets to rule the roost. So give me a jingle at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Kind of an open house, open door. Come on, give me a call quickly. I'd love to hear from you. While I'm waiting for your call that I hope is coming in, primarily because I didn't have a guest for the full half hour, give me a call. Lunch Bunch is going to be this Thursday, and it's going to start at 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, and it's going to be so special. And I'll mean that when I say so special, because we're going to be highlighting and paying tribute to Russell Smith and his birthday that's coming up in a matter of days. But we're going to have a great big cake, and we're going to have all kinds of fun people there. Oh, my. And thank you to Smith's Foods and Hanson Mortuary and Stokes, my goodness, and Doug Martin, everybody for a lot of our door prizes. So everybody try to be there at 11:30. This Thursday at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant in Burley, 611 North Overland. We will see you there. Going to be great. I know that there was hope that maybe we could get Russell down here from Pocatello and have him be a part of the birthday festivities and everything, but, his health, and we don't want to take any chances in having anything disrupt his daily routine, and so we want to just extend to him the very best. And that leads me to tell you this. Come on, caller. Somebody give me a call right now. If you'd like to send a card and well wishes to Russell, he's going to be 92 years old this year, and he's been a 3-time Purple Heart recipient fighting for our country. He is at the Idaho State Veterans Home, 1957 Alvin Ricken Drive, room 70. In Pocatello, and the zip code 83201. Be sure and send a card, letter. Tell them old Zeb told you to do it, and by golly, wish Russell well. Okay? All right. Wish me well. Give me a call right now. We'll talk about any subject you want to talk about this morning. And, one thing I wanted to mention, and it's really interesting, and this is becoming a huge, huge story, is that various members of the Obama administration, yes, the Obama administration, are stepping forward, and they now are changing their tunes and dancing to a new song of saying Donald Trump was right in going ahead with the show of force against Syria. And they said it should have been done a long time before. So a lot of people from the Obama administration are stepping forward and saying, Obama just didn't do the job. He didn't honor that line in the sand. He let Assad and others just step over it. And what Donald Trump has done so far is show the world that we're not going to be walked on. Let's see, what else have we got cooking in the news? I want to talk just a little bit about this overbooking situation on airlines. And a lot of people have said, well, the gentleman should have given up his seat. And other people, when they come on the plane and they say, well, I'm sorry, we're overbooked, you're going to have to give up your seat. Wait a minute. One question that is never asked, or one question that is never answered, is this. And Deanna and I were talking about this on Saturday. If you or I are on that airplane, it means that you and I paid an exorbitant ticket price. We had the boarding pass and the ticket, and we are sitting on the airplane. We are there. What right does anyone have to say, well, Mr. Bell, I'm sorry, we've overbooked the flight, and so passenger number 2 for your seat is going to take your seat, you being first in line, first in time with a payment on that seat doesn't matter. We're going to replace you with another paying customer. What? This is insane. Why should you get off of that plane? You bought a ticket during a time frame of perhaps expediency for your business, like in my case, all of my flights were for business to get at a certain time so that I could do business on a contract basis and then fly back home. Why in the world, and this is, somebody's got to give me some common sense on this. Why would I get off an airplane to honor someone else's money paid ticket? Mine was first in line, first in time, paid for. All of a sudden their money is greener? All of a sudden their profession is more important than mine? Somebody call me right now at 436-2244 and explain that to me. And then this balderdash of, well, we have to shuttle some of our crew to another location. I've heard that song and verse many times. Well, then you take care of it. It is your airline, and you have to make accommodations to get your staff available to the workplace so they can perform the job that they're getting paid for. It is not up to me to suffer as a paying customer that now has paid in full for this seat to be replaced because of your not handling your job as an employer. Do you think I'm wrong on this? But please give me a call. I can't understand how they can come up with this absolutely lousy excuse of saying, well, Mr. Bell, we overbooked this flight. Oh, really? Who? Well, we have another customer that needs your seat. Wait a minute. I'm not undoing the seatbelt because my money and my time frame is as good as better or better than theirs. What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call quickly, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I personally would not give up my seat. Nope, not going to do it. I'm going to give them a hassle that would be the mother of all hassles. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you because doing the right thing matters. Like me not giving up my seat. Anyway, a big spring tire sale going on right now, and they have many of their tires on sale for your cars and your pickups and the SUVs. My goodness. Caller, I'll be right there. And also the best in brake service and front end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. Oh, they really care. They really care about your safe driving. But above all, they provide service to you and your vehicle. You stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline and Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, on that airline passenger stuff.
Yeah.
I've been following that pretty close, and from what I'm understanding, it wasn't for another paying customer, but for their own crew relocating.
No, I said that just a moment ago. But wait a minute. Let me interject something here. It doesn't make any difference if it's for a flight crew that has to go to Louisville, or in many instances they have said, oh, we overbooked the flight, so you're going to have to get off. Why should that first person in the seat, first in paid, first in the seat, should have priority? I don't care who has to be bumped.
It's ridiculous. They just handled the whole thing wrong.
Well, they did.
They had the crew to relocate. They should have put them on a charter plane.
Well, why is it the responsibility of passengers that have paid their money in good faith? Why should they be bumped off a flight that might be very important to their business or their family situation because of an airline needing to shuttle their employees? That is not my responsibility, and it's certainly not yours.
That's right. That's exactly right. It just somebody really screwed up there.
Well, and it's not a first-time thing. It's not the new kid on the block. It's happened for years that the airlines have done this. I personally have been on flights where they were looking for volunteers because they overbooked the flight. Why would anybody in their right mind want to volunteer to get off a plane, out of a seat that their money is as good as anybody else's money? They were the first ones with their butt in the seat. They were the first ones that paid for the seat. Why should they give it up for an overbooked passenger with somebody else?
If I'm in a paid-for seat, you're not going to take me out of it.
There you go. That's exactly the way I feel. Thank you very much for your call, and God bless, and thanks again for your calling in. Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm not going to give up my seat. My money's as good as anybody else's, and if I'm there first, then they'd better make some accommodation for the other person. I feel better. Anyway, tomorrow on the program, big program, we got Frosty Woolridge, Dr. History, and who else have we got? We got, Senator Kelly Anthem. We got all kinds of good folks coming on the program tomorrow. Zeb at the Ranch at 8:06 tomorrow morning. We'll ride the horse for 3 hours till 11. The way things were, the way things ought to be. You have a great day.